happy Wednesday. Welcome to Trades Lady Happy Hour. Sorry for missing last week. It was uncontrollable. I apologize, but we are back this week. We'll be back every week from here on out. And for those of you who are new to Trades Lady Happy Hour, this is the weekly Instagram Live series where we get to shine a light on all of the amazing women in the automotive industry and in the trades in general. Women in the automotive industry generally make up about 2.5%. So there's not a heck of a lot of us, but at the same time, there's tons of us, and they deserve to be recognized and celebrated for what they do every day, kicking butt out in the fields, building stuff, making stuff, fixing stuff with their own two hands. And we love to celebrate them, and we love that you guys are here joining us to celebrate them along with us. This series is sponsored by Drive Time, and we're really thrilled to have them as a partner, them showing their support for women in the trades by partnering with us on this. So big thank you to them. Thanks to all of you who keep coming back week after week to celebrate with us. And without further ado, I want to introduce you to this crazy lady sitting right next to me. You might see that we are in the shop at Girl Gang Garage right now with the Iron Maven behind us. And we're both a little dirty and tired from working on the car all day because Tina has been out here helping out. Now, I'm going to let Tina introduce herself to you guys rather than me mangling her story. So, Tina, tell the fine folks at home who you are, what you do.
Perfect. Thank you. Welcome, everybody. Pleasure to be here with all of you. Honored to be here with Bogi. Honored to be here working on Iron Maven. For those of you who don't know me, Tina Nelles, Marketing Services Manager, I like to say AKA Marketing Communications for BASF Refinish. Been in the industry nearly 30 years and love what I do.
You can tell she's just projecting her voice very loudly because she's normally talking to tons and tons of people, but I think they can hear you just fine.
Yeah, you know, tone it down. That's what my husband says all the time.
She's just a little bit excited, but we like that. So BASF has actually done a takeover here at the Girl Gang Garage today. So we had seven of us all together. 7 amazing women from BASF, all sorts of different career paths, different expertise, really. But yeah, none of them were hands-on women. None of them work in the trades. So it was really cool to get to teach them some stuff and let them dig into some projects. And I'd say it was pretty successful.
I say so too. We got a few things kind of checked off the list.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Before we dig into your story too much, do you want to tell everybody what you did today and yesterday during your takeover?
Oh, what did I do? I got to cut metal. I got to grind plastic. I got to fit the cover for the electric to the Iron Maven because it is a hybrid. I didn't get to weld, but I did record a lot of the girls welding. It's amazing how time goes by so quickly when you're having fun.
It totally is. I know. I can't believe 2 days is gone already.
Build some rivets. We did do that too.
We did some riveting. Yep. We did all sorts of fun stuff.
Solve some problems.
So you're not a tradeswoman officially, right?
Not officially, no.
No. But you've kind of always been involved in the automotive industry in some form or another. Tell me, like, how did you originally get interested in cars? Like, where does this automotive theme in your life come from?
So the automotive theme, you know, being from Michigan, south of Detroit, it's cars everywhere. A little bit of car cruising that led to street racing. And from street racing...
Was it legal street racing?
You know, maybe not.
But you were young.
I was young.
How old were you when you were doing legal street racing?
16.
Did you even have your license yet?
Yes, I did.
Okay, because I thought at 16 you got a permit, not a license.
No, when you're as old as me, it was a license at 16.
Crazy. Okay, so 16 years old, you're street racing.
Yeah.
Did you ever do it like legally, like on a drag strip too?
Yes, also drag raced.
Okay. What were you driving?
Oh, there has been a few. I have a Corvette.
Okay. What year?
It was 1997.
Okay.
Also Fox Body Mustangs.
Okay, nice. I'm sure there's some folks out in the audience who are like, yes. 3 or 4 Fox Bodies.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm the only thing my husband keeps around.
I mean, I guess that's a good thing.
I think I also did an Explorer once too.
Okay. You drag raced an Explorer?
You know, when you don't have anything to drag race, you just
bring what you got.
Bring what you got.
When was the last time you went drag racing?
Oh, gosh, it's been a while. It's probably been about 20 years.
I think we need to fix that. I think, round of applause, guys, for anybody who thinks that we need to fix that. She needs to go drag racing again. Okay, so you did drag racing, you did street racing, and then how did the rest of your career progress, and what made you go the direction that you wound up going?
So really, the first 10 years of my career, I spent at a box manufacturer, making boxes that all those parts that are shipped in.
So you were working at a box manufacturer, but specifically for automotive.
Yep.
Interesting. Okay. See, there's all sorts of ways to be part of the automotive industry.
So that's where it started. And then I went into work for BASF, started as customer care, processing the orders for all the material that goes in to make automotive parts.
Okay.
So my very first was engineering plastics. So a lot of those plastic parts that you get, I was processing the orders to a lot of the manufacturers.
Okay. Let's tell people really quickly, because some of you may not be familiar with BASF, or you may have heard of BASF when it comes to paint and products that are used in the refinish process. But BASF is much bigger than that, isn't it?
Very much bigger. We have 7 major industries. I will not remember them all. But we go from agriculture to farm and nutrition to automotive to beauty care products to OEM to automotive.
Do they have anything that can help me?
Believe it or not, they're not making that end product though.
What?
They're making the product that goes into it.
Okay, so BASF is really like a chemical company to a large degree, and you're an international company.
Yep.
Okay, but you've mostly been on the automotive side of things.
So after customer care, I actually went into a consulting role for sales, supply chain, and marketing.
Okay.
Across all the business units.
Okay.
And that is when I was introduced to automotive refinish coatings, and that's when I realized there's my love. So just about 8 years ago, I was introduced and became part of automotive coatings as the marketing communications, and I'm here ever since.
So 9 years ago, 8 years ago?
8 years ago.
8 years ago. What was it about automotive that just resonated? Was it like a coming home from the drag racing side?
It's just cars. It's cars, from that collision that you get into, being able to bring it back to what it was, to the SEMA show and the Good Guys shows, and getting to see the, in my opinion, work of art. Yeah. And I love being around cars.
For those of you that have ever been to SEMA, the BASF booth is a pretty dominant booth, and there's always a ton of really great builders in that booth. This is the woman behind it all. She puts that all together and makes that magic happen, and it's really cool. So if you're ever at SEMA, make sure you go check out the BASF booth. Make sure you go and say hello to her, and just that's what she does. I mean, your job really at this point in a lot of ways is supporting the builders. Mm-hmm. And helping them do what they do. So talk a little bit, if you don't mind, about what that looks like when you're working with these builders, because you work with lots of pretty incredible builders. Who are some of the builders that you've worked with over the years?
Obviously Bogi.
I'm not an incredible builder.
But Chip Foos, Ring Brothers, Goolsby Customs, KTL Restoration, Roadster Shop, Revision Rides. I could go on and on. I'm trying to think real quick. Eddie's Riding Customs.
I know
Dutch Boys.
I know the name Chip Foos probably perked up a lot of folks. You've been working with Chip for many, many years, right?
Yeah, he's been with BASF. I want to say it's nearly 20 years now. Okay. I've been working with him myself for the past 8 years.
Okay. So what does that look like? What is that relationship building, and why is that important to you?
So it's a two-way street. They are the BASF brand ambassadors. So it's really a partnership between us both to really say, what areas do you want to promote your job, and how can they help promote me? So how can we work together to co-promote and really put both brands in the best of light? It's the best part of my job.
Any fun highlight stories of cool situations, cool experiences throughout these years working with amazing builders and the relationships you form with them? Any fun standout?
You know, I have fun, and you know, I probably have stories for every single one of them.
Some of them are not fit for TV.
But I would say, you know, I think it was SEMA. What's the last SEMA we had? Was it 2019?
Yeah, other than the one this past year.
Yeah, like the last big
weird
SEMA
one. So 2019 was the last big SEMA, I guess.
So Roadster Shop has a, you know, really big party that they do, and they do a lot of award recognition, you know, like the best on RS and different things of that nature. And they do an industry partner award. And I was given the industry partner award. And it was a bittersweet moment. I can remember going back 6-7 years ago, talking to Jonathan Goolsby about how I wanted BASF to be recognized, and I wanted people coming to us to use our paint and less of, you know, the other competitors out there.
Sure.
And that was when it really started noticing I was making a difference in the industry. and then I would also say, you know, things like, you know, Chevy Iron Maven's not the first one I've been involved with. Yeah. Iron Maven is another one that we've done, or Chevy Montage is the first one we did. And, you know, at that point when we first started talking about it, it was an idea.
Yeah.
And
all right, we got to go back in time here for a second for everybody. So what some of you may not know, some of you probably know that this is the third all-female build. The very first one was the Chevy Montage, and it was featured in the BASF booth, and it was through that I met Tina. What you may not know is that when I originally conceptualized the Chevy Montage, I originally wanted to paint it flat black and be a rat rod, and I had zero intention of it being a big fancy build. And then Tina came along. Suddenly I was going to be in a booth at SEMA that was all about paint, and I was going to be right next to Chip Foose, and that was absolutely terrifying to me. Tina, tell me, when you first found out about this project, and when you first, you didn't know me really from Adam, right? So what went through your head when this idea came across your table?
It's a hell of an awesome idea. So, as most of you probably know, you know, there's a shortage of technicians. The trades don't have the talent we need. And it's something very passionate and very important for BASF. And this to me was one of the ways to help get that message out there. And not only was it about, you know, the trades itself, but it was also about empowering women. And I myself, that's always been something I've been very passionate about. You know, you can do anything you want to do. You just have to put your mind to it. And so to me, it was like, what do we need to do? Let's get her done.
Even though I knew nothing about metalwork at the time, and I knew nothing about paintwork at the time, I really knew nothing about restoration, let alone custom cars at that point in time. And that never fazed you? She's amazing.
Like, you know, there's times, you know, you get nervous, but then I go back to, it's all about what we want to achieve, and if we want to achieve it, we're going to achieve it.
I love it. All right, let's talk less about the builds, more about you.
Okay.
How did you get to where you're at with your position? Like, I know you worked at the box company originally. You worked for BASF in various capacities. Now you're in the refinish side. But what was the beginning of this? Right, we went from high school to suddenly you were in a job. What happened in between there?
So in between there, I have a undergrad. I have a BS in business, just a general business degree. Not a specialty in marketing, just general business.
What made you go that route?
At that point in my life, I knew the business attracted me. Marketing was probably my most appealing. Okay. But I didn't want to, I wanted to be able to keep myself broad, to be able to do multiple things. I knew the only thing I didn't want to do was accounting, because it's just not me.
Fair enough.
And so I just did a general business degree. Okay. And then when I was working in customer service, when you work for a great company like BASF, they do offer tuition reimbursement for college degrees. So I took that opportunity and got my master's. Again, I got a master's in business with a specialty in leadership.
Okay.
So myself, I've always found it empowering to help people grow and help them be the best they can be. And so I took the specialty in leadership.
I'm curious, when you were doing drag racing and had kind of like your early, experiences of cars, was there ever a point at which you considered doing anything more hands-on or with cars professionally, or was that not?
I honestly didn't, and I honestly would say it's because I didn't know enough about it.
Was it ever presented to you?
Nope.
And I know this is kind of like hindsight, right? Who knows, going back, looking at history. Do you feel like if it had ever been visible to you as a possible career path, do you think you might have pursued it in some way?
Never say never. I never say never, I don't know.
Fair enough.
I do like the promotion side.
Yeah.
Being able to get out there, get the word out there, and help that's what ticks my buttons.
I like that. So I feel like there's a lot of hot button kind of topics kind of built in with this, right? Talking about the trades deficit, talking about women within the industry, but also like the college path versus the trade school path, right? And you went the college path.
Mm-hmm.
You're working on the business side of things. And yet you work every day with folks who did not necessarily go the college path. I know there's a lot of trades folks who say trade school is better than college. A lot of college folks say that college is better than trade school. Where do you fall on this spectrum, and what are your kind of like thoughts around the debates, I guess, between trade school and college? And
to me, a trade school is just as good as a college. To me, they should be considered equal. Because it's all about what makes that person happy, not what school is better than the other. Because if that individual enjoys those welding or enjoys painting, they got to go to the right school. And it's not a college, it's a trade. And so if that's their passion, it is their degree at the trade school is no better than my 4-year degree.
Absolutely. College experience for you. What was that like? I know that this is going back a little bit. She's not as old as she likes to say she is or act like she is. But going to school for business back then, was it common or not common for women to be in a business program?
It was not common for women, and not as common it is today for women to be in business. It was that you still had that ladder. That ladder was still, and it's still there, not as bad as it was when I first started going to college, but it was still there.
How many women would you say were in your program with you? Do you know?
Oh, that's been a while.
I'm making her think now.
Yeah, you're making me think. If I think about it in my master's program, just because that's a little more recent, and it was a little smaller. Okay. In my specific program, there was probably 40, 45 people in our program, and about 10 or 12 of us were women.
Okay.
So it wasn't bad, but still quite a bit lower.
Yeah. So we've been talking a lot this week with the BASF takeover. There's a lot of women here who are not trades folks. They're in various different aspects of the industry. So you've been hearing a lot of the stories from different women, and you've heard a lot of the stories from trades women, I'm sure, over the years as well. What kind of similarities or differences have you seen in all of the stories that you've heard, from your experience, from the stories? Is there similarity as a woman in business to a woman in the trades?
There's a lot of similarities, and the similarities are really about the empowerment, the feeling, that feeling when you succeed. Whether it's getting an award or making a presentation or getting this big project that you've worked on to, that you've had to pitch to somebody and getting their buy-in. And so it's a success, and you feel that same success whether you're working on a car or you're sitting in an office.
Did you ever encounter any issues as a woman going through program going to business school?
No, not really in business. I went to small schools.
Okay.
I went through small schools and, you know, private schools, and I didn't encounter it. You know, I've encountered some challenges throughout my career with different managers and different things like that, and managers who can try to tear you down, but you just keep pushing forward, keep fighting, because you know you're good at what you do.
How did you build up that confidence? Because I think there's a crossover, right? No matter what field you're in, no matter whether you're hands-on in the trades or whether you're in the office or whether you're doing promoting, I think there's some similar themes that happen, particularly for women, but I think really for anybody.
Mm-hmm.
How do you build that confidence to where you can, you know, stake a claim in the ground and say, I know I'm good at what I do?
You know, you'll laugh because I'm gonna take myself back to 7th grade.
Okay.
And I had absolutely no confidence. I would, you know, there was personal things going on at the time of my life, and I had no confidence whatsoever. I'd cry at the drop of a hat. Didn't matter, no confidence. Mr. Service, who was a mentor of mine pretty much all through high school, really helped me build that confidence and set your mind to, you can do what you want to do. You've got this, you've got this. And just kind of, you know, kept driving that home and driving that home and driving that home. And to the point where, you know, I'm sorry if you don't like me, don't need you. You know, it just, and don't tell me I can't, because I'll show you I can.
You know we like that motto here. I think that's why we're friends. I love it. So in the workplace, have you had experiences where you felt you were being held back?
For a short time.
Okay.
For a short time. And you know, it was probably maybe just me and a certain manager didn't see eye to eye. And you know, I think he tried to do anything to get me to quit. But I'm still here.
So I know this is a topic that I think a lot of women deal with, in the trades specifically, but in the automotive industry, and I think in a lot of other industries most likely as well. But how did you handle that, and how do you keep yourself going when you are in a situation where maybe you have a manager who isn't supportive or isn't okay with your presence, or doesn't like you for whatever reason? How do you handle that?
You know, I would say one of the biggest things is get that mentor or that friend that you can lean on. Actually, my current boss was who it was for me now. And it was a lot of talking. How do I deal with this? How do I do this? What do I need to do? And or just a lot of tears. I'm not gonna lie, because sometimes they try to beat you down. And it's just talking through it and say, how do you get past this? How do you do this? And you know, and that mentor also being there to lift you up, and the friends and the family. You know, and it's having that constant positive reinforcement. You know, think about, you know, how you treat that 2-year-old or 3-year-old that's making those progress. When someone's getting beat down, that's almost the same reinforcement they need. They need to feel good about themselves, and you need to surround yourself with those people who will make you feel good about yourself.
I think there's a wonderful point in there, because I think a lot of folks who watch this, some are younger folks getting into the industry, and some of you out there are the mentors, or have the opportunity to be mentors to other young folks coming into the industry, wherever that is, whatever your industry is. I think that's a really beautiful way of thinking about it, right? Because when your confidence is being beat down, you become a little 2 or 3-year-old.
You do. I mean, you want to cry at the drop of a hat, and you want to say, I can't do this, but you know what? You can. And it's surrounding yourself with those people that bring you up versus take you down.
So for the mentors out there, that's how you do it. That's what being a good mentor looks like. And for those of you who are in need of a mentor, to seek them out. Like, did you seek out your mentor, your current boss, when you were?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. How did you do that? Because I think that scares a lot of people. Like, how do I ask somebody to be my mentor, or how do I find a mentor? Right.
So at the time, she was my peer.
Okay.
And we clicked. And we got along, and I walked into her office one day and I shut her door and she's like, uh-oh. And I literally started crying. So she's seen me at my weakest, and she's also seen me at my strongest. And I'm like, I need your help. I need a positive, I need a positive influence. I need somebody in my corner, being my cheerleader and helping me through this. And, she was right there. She agreed, definitely make sure they agree, but don't be afraid to ask. The worst they're going to tell you is no. And then just ask the next person.
Yeah. I think so for so many of us, particularly as women, we have a hard time asking for that help, asking for somebody to be a supporter. There's this stigma around it where like we feel like we're less than if we have to ask for help.
Win together.
Yep.
Win together. Yeah. I do a lot. I do achieve a lot. But I don't do it without a team behind me. I've got 3 peers in there, 4 peers in there. I've got my cheerleader at home. I've got my best friends. I call Bogi, call Crystal, whoever it may be. What do you think of this? Or how can I make this better? Make it a team. Don't try to be just a single person, because you will achieve more together.
What do you think your biggest challenge has been in your career so far?
My biggest challenge has been the political game. So I work for a large corporation, and there is political nuances in any corporate company, and I'm often one who speaks my mind.
Does this shock anybody?
So the biggest challenge for me is to know when to say it, or to know how to say it, so I'm not coming off overconfident and belittling somebody else.
Okay, interesting. So playing
the
that
game,
balance and playing the game has been the biggest challenge.
It has been the biggest challenge.
Anything that you feel has held you back? People, things, internal stuff?
No. Perseverance is one thing you've got to be constant about. You've got to keep going. And I'll go back to when I first started with BASF. I started as a customer care rep. And it was probably about 6 months after I started as a customer care rep, and those are who process the orders, a customer care manager became available, and I'm like, I want that job. I interviewed for it and didn't get it. Came open again, interviewed, didn't get it. Third time was a charm. It did come open and I got it. So it just, never give up. When just being told no once doesn't mean you can't try again.
Did you always have that mindset?
I have.
So she just came out this way.
No. I'll go back to Mr. Service. Yeah. And him being the one who helped build that confidence and build that don't ever give up. And if failure's okay, just learn from it. And it was a lot of reflection on myself. Self-reflection, I think, is also very important. A lot of self-reflection, each job I didn't get, to say, what skill set am I missing? Or how did I not communicate what I need to do to achieve that job?
Okay.
You're like, do I go down the self-reflection?
I know. How deep do we dig in this? No, but I think that's really, I think it's interesting, your perspective on that is like, how can I look at like what skills were I missing? How can I overcome that so I can go back and try again and get the job this time? it's an interesting thing. We've talked about that actually quite a bit this week about you know, the looking at oneself for the fault versus looking externally for the fault. And it's an interesting thing, and I think sometimes it serves women that we tend to say, the minute something goes wrong, we say, what's wrong with me? What did I do wrong? How come I'm not good enough? How come I'm not smart enough? How come I'm not skilled enough? Whereas I've found, particularly in the trades, and this is based upon experience and it is not universal, not all men do this, before any men out there get upset with me, but generally speaking, I watch the women who are on the build immediately when something goes wrong say, how come I'm not good enough? How come I'm not smart enough? And I watch men immediately say, this stupid tool, this stupid part, the stupid engineer who designed this, right? The idiot who touched it before me, right? It's immediately this external thing. And I think sometimes it serves us that we do that, and sometimes it's a huge debilitator that we do that. In this case, with applying for jobs and skills and that kind of stuff, that has served you.
Yep.
Are there times when that same thing has held you back?
I would say I'm sure it has. You know, I'm sure whether it's doing something at home or doing something at work, you know, building a presentation or building a proposal or building a project, and, you know, I'm not good enough, it's not right, you know, and I'm sure I've done it plenty of times on a presentation. At BASF, I do a lot of those, unfortunately. And when you look at it, it's like, it's not good enough. But sometimes it is good enough. Don't always be your worst critic. Be your worst critic when it's needed, but not when it's tearing you down.
You know, knowing Tina personally, I know that a mere 5 years ago, she did not like speaking in public at all. Like, did not like speaking in public, give everybody else the microphone, never take it herself. What shifted for you? Because now she does it all the time, and she rocks at it, by the way. But how did you get over that? Like anything that applies to any fear, right? No matter what fear you have, whether it's speaking in public or, you know, building something or getting up on a ladder when you're scared of heights, like it's any fear. How did you get yourself over?
So the very first time was SEMA 2019, actually, to be exact. And that's when I started becoming the face of BASF. Before, I was always behind the scenes and letting, you know, LT members or other people take that center stage and do what I do today. And it was Jane, my boss, who at that time was just the manager, or just taken over, and she said, "You're going to be the face." And I'm like, well, I've never done it before. And she's like, people in the industry know you and they relate to you, and you're going to be the face. It's no longer Tina taking the back seat, you're going to be the face. And I walked away from that meeting and I went, oh crap.
I know what that feeling is like.
And I'm like, okay, I got this.
Did it freak you out at first?
Oh yes, it freaked me out. I will not lie. So before the unveil of SEMA 2019, I think I did 10 practice runs. I had little note cards talking about each of the cars I was going to unveil and the different things I was going to say. Mind you, when I actually did it, I didn't use a single note card. I almost slipped up and said a couple bad words and caught myself midstream.
I think that's the hardest part about public speaking. FYI, side note, public speaking or speaking on TV or like any of that, the hardest part is editing yourself and not saying those words that we're not supposed to say when we're on camera.
Those of me who know me caught it. But there was 10 practice runs and videotaped myself and watched myself over and over different things such as pronunciations of last names, pronunciations of anything, to make sure that I got it right. Because the last thing you want to do is get criticized for putting yourself out there. And it was, you know, taking people who've done broadcasting and different things of that nature and having them critique me. And then after that first one, I'm like, I got it.
Okay, so you asked people to critique you.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me how that was. That's a ballsy move, right? Like, when you're already feeling insecure about something, A, to go and ask somebody, but to B, sit and say, okay, what did I do wrong?
You know, I look at it this way, that if I want to, you know, if I want to be the best and portray myself as the best, then I need to know how others perceive me, because perception is everything. And so if they perceive me not being organic enough, or not being real enough, or not being authentic, I need to know that, because it's all in tone and it's all in body language when you're doing it live. And so I needed that feedback in order to improve, in order to be my best. And, you know, that peer feedback is the best way to help yourself get better.
So your first time doing big public speaking,
Mm-hmm.
you're practicing, you're getting all of this like feedback and criticism and ways to improve. Once you did it, once you actually got up there and did it, what was that experience like?
It was a complete high. I was on an adrenaline high. I will not lie. It was very invigorating and very powerful and very just like, you know, just wow. And I felt very accomplished. Like, you know, I faced a fear. Because I won't lie, it was easy to take the back seat because it was a fear. And I faced a fear, and, you know, were there areas where I was doing it that I could have improved upon? Yeah, sure. Are there areas that maybe when I'm sitting here I can still improve? Yeah, sure. But as long as you take a look at it and, you know, back again, self-reflect. And think, you know, okay, make sure you sit up straight, make sure you're not slouching, make sure you're not, you know, make sure you smile, make sure you look at the camera, make sure you don't scream too much.
So do you like public speaking now?
I do.
And I want to like throw out there specifically, right, these fear things that we have, right? and I just want to like pontificate on that for a second, right? Because that's what this weekend has been all about too, is a group of women coming in who had their own little fears about things. And whether it was public speaking, whether it was being on camera, whether it was afraid of the sparks of, you know, working with metal. And it's interesting, the high that you got, I think, from public speaking is no different than the high that any of the women here felt when they're like, oh my God,
I got it.
Sparks don't actually burn, sparks kind of tickle, and then they're giggly and they're high on this realization that their fear is not really realistic, like that they don't need to have that fear, like getting over that is so huge. And now they just want to do it all the time.
Yeah.
Like you want to do it all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
I love it. What does your daily look like? What is your, not your daily car, but your daily life? Like what is doing this job look like?
I sit in front of the computer 90% of the time.
We got to get her out of the office more.
When I'm out here at things like this, I'm in my glory. When I'm at car shows, I'm in my glory. Those are the favorite part of my job. But behind that, I am, you know, putting together, I always joke when, you know, she said I'm the person behind the SEMA. I joke with the individuals putting cars in my booth. You might be building a car, I'm still building something. It's an experience that I'm building, and it's a look and a feel that I'm building, and it's learning how to keep that true to BASF and true to who I am, because it's a perception of me. But, you know, I'm writing emails. If you're a BASF customer, you get those emails. They come from me and my group. I've got a team of 3. I'm designing the next literature that comes out, or I am working on the next communication that comes out. or we're putting some branding and some stories behind things that we do. So just about everything I do is really about putting a story behind something. So telling the story, it's the fun part, if you ask me.
And it is building something, right? I think that's a thing that I like to really point out and highlight. You building a SEMA booth, whether you're building it with your hands or you're conceptualizing. Like, how many times did we this weekend build something in our brain, build it in cardboard, then build it in metal, right? And so you're building it conceptually, and then you're having somebody else do the physical building of the job. But I think the satisfaction of whether you're building something in metal or building something in wood, or whether you're making jewelry, or whether you're baking cakes, or whether you're building a SEMA thing, like it's all that same satisfaction of like, I took these things that didn't fit together and I made it into a thing. Like, look, Mom, I made a thing. Right? And it's when that same satisfaction.
See it all come together, it's like, wow, I did that. Yeah. And then you're like, ah.
So what do we have to look forward to at this SEMA? I mean, aside from the Iron Maven.
Obviously the Iron Maven. We will have something from Goolsby, something from Roadster Shop, something from Foos, and something from FAF Racing. So the little surprise there is it's 5 in the booth this year. 5. I am sweating from that too, I'm not gonna lie. So that's what we're working on right now, is to figure out how to put 5 in and still keep everything good so you can still move. There'll also be something flying from the ceiling.
It's not going to be me.
And it won't be me.
Just to be clear.
But it's pretty amazing, and I'm just going to leave it at that. So either you need to follow along on the BASF page so you can see it, or stop by the booth and see us.
I don't even know what it is, so now I'm intrigued. Do we get to know what kind of cars are going to be in the booth, or is that a secret until we get there?
And I did forget Foos's car too. Whoops.
Okay, Foos will be there too.
So obviously Iron Maven. FAF is a Porsche.
Okay, that makes sense. FAF is generally Porsches.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
And I'm not sure on Foos yet.
Okay.
But Goolsby will be a van.
A van?
A van. 1969.
Okay, that's
full
kind of
size
cool.
van.
Okay.
It's neat.
You don't normally see vans at SEMA, I feel like.
No, it's different.
Okay.
I'm known for doing things different.
And that's, again, why we get along. All right.
And then Roadster Shop will have the 69 Chevelle.
Okay.
Which that one's always near and dear to my heart.
That specific car?
Yes.
Is it, I don't know that I know which one this is.
Just the 69 Chevelle.
Oh, 69 Chevelle in general.
In general.
Okay, but this is a new build for them.
Yep, it's a new, hasn't been unveiled yet. They're all unveils.
Okay.
Except for the Porsche.
Okay, fair enough. And we have something fun planned with the unveil for Iron Maven, don't we? So of course, because BASF is my partner on this build, of course, we have to make amazing paint, and the paint has to look phenomenal. Like, she could care less if the thing runs. She just wants the paint to look good, right?
Exactly.
So,
and to show up in the booth and look good.
And to show up in the booth, which means it has to be finished, which is why I'm going to be working late tonight after we're done with happy hour. So the paint has to look good. So tell everybody what we've done with the paint and like what we're doing and why we're doing this.
So you, Connie, and Madison?
No, Madison Irvin was involved, like, because she was here.
Okay.
But she didn't.
But it's really you and Connie.
It was Connie and I, yeah.
So have created Connie
and I? Connie and me.
Connie and I.
Me and Connie.
You and
Connie and I don't know.
Connie and I. Have created 3 custom colors. Gorgeous. We have a purple. And we have a green.
Should I grab the chips? Should I show them?
I think you should.
All right, so you talk to these folks. I'm going to grab the color chips for you to see.
We didn't think ahead and set them down here.
No, that would have been too smart.
But they have created 3 custom colors. There's a gray, there's a green, and there's a purple. And you get to vote to pick the color. It's your choice. So you go to the Girl Grand Garage website, and you have the opportunity to vote and pick the color. August 3rd, the voting will go down. and you will not know the color until SEMA. So it's a big surprise when we unveil that car. Not only do you get to see the finished car, but you finally get to see the color. So after the car gets painted, everything from there on out on social media is black and white.
We don't get to tell you what color it is, but we get to show you what the colors are as options and maybe see them in a different light than you've seen them online, because you know how light is and cameras and whatnot, it doesn't always show up really well. So option numero uno, you can kind of actually see there's a little bit of purpley pearl in it. So this is our first option. This is called Resilient Gray. We've got that as our option. We have this beautiful sage color called She Is Sage. And there's a little bit of pearl in there, not much. You can tell I really like flat colors. So there's that. And then our final color option is this really pretty purple, got some red in it. There's a tiny touch of pearl in it. I'm very, very mild with the pearl.
And I'm the complete opposite. For those who know me, it's glitter all the way.
Which is why she was not involved in the custom color making. So you get to hold all three of those. So yeah, don't hide those. So these are our beautiful color options. If you have not voted yet, please go vote, tell your friends, spread the word, because you don't want to leave it up to me. Or her, because she'll put sparkles in it, and we're not having that. From a BASF kind of perspective, talk about what paints we're using, why we're using the paints that we're using. Why are we using the line that we're using?
So we are using RM Onyx, right?
We're not. We're going to be solvent.
Diamond.
Yeah.
Okay. I couldn't remember. It's hard to keep them all straight.
Yeah, we did water-based on the montage, and we're doing solvent on this one. Yeah. Okay. I guess you don't have to hold those anymore. Yeah, should we not make her hold those anymore?
I don't do very good at that, do I? RM Diamond is I would just want to say it's our workhorse. It's through and through for collision centers, for custom builders. It's there, gets the job done, has all the tools you need to pick the colors and match the colors you need. And for any of the BASF paint lines, you know, I'm going to be selfish and say it's the best in the industry. And it shows on the finished product.
And some would argue that some other competitors are probably similar quality-wise, but you don't get Tina.
Exactly.
and I really believe that, you know, the people are everything, right? You do business.
People industry.
You do business with people, you don't do business with business. And I will 100% buy from somebody who I like over buying from somebody who I don't like.
That's a true story.
right, 100%. And it's the BAS family. And I know I sound like I'm totally like, you know, sponsor, but I don't see BASF as a sponsor. I see them as a partner in this. And so I gloat about them all the time. So this isn't just for your sake. I like genuinely believe all of this.
and you know, that is my goal when you talk about that, to be seen as a partner, not a sponsor. That's what I want. I worked very, very hard to create a BASF family. And you know, when we're out there and there's 7, 8, 9 builders, at the end of the day, they kind of compete against each other. But at the end of the day, we all come together and have fun together.
Yeah, I'm still competing with them. No, I'm kidding. I totally am not. I don't even deserve to be in the competition with the folks that I'm next to in booths. I'm the baby.
You do.
I'm the baby newbie showing up at all of this. But I don't know. Considering these cars that we brought to your booth that we will be bringing this year, are built to a very large extent built by folks with very limited experience. About 30% of the women involved in these builds are not professionals. They are newbies, they are hobbyists, they don't know much. So it's a pretty like cool thing that our cars that we build mostly as a teaching thing wind up getting to sit next to Chip Foose and Goolsby and Forester Shop
But don't discount yourself. I mean, I watched you work with 7 of us who, you know, I know enough to get myself in trouble.
She did an awesome job. She's undercounting herself right now.
But you pick the spirit up and you empower women to feel good about themselves. And so that's just as important as the build sitting next to you. You know, you'll have 90 women right alongside us when we unveil that car. And that energy and that love and that passion,
it shows up on the vehicle.
It shows up on the vehicle. And that is extremely something to be extremely, extremely proud of.
I appreciate that. It's you know, it's interesting how our brains play with us, though. Right? It's like, oh my gosh, I'm next to these big professionals, and oh my gosh. So it is, but you're right. It does show through. Like we may not all have the skills. I may not know what the heck I'm doing half of the time, right? But the passion is what carries it. I feel like,
yeah,
for sure. Custom colors. How does this work in the BASF world? Because I know that I've gotten a ton of people asking me about the montage with the tenacious teal. Is that, and like all the other custom colors that your builders have used over the years and done with their cars, can people paint with those colors?
They sure can.
How did they find said colors?
So if they're a hobbyist or somebody doing it on the side, they go to a local BASF distribution partner and they give them the color. They will pull that up in our Refinity system, which we've actually improved upon since we did montage. And we'll actually improve upon that. And they go in and they enter the color name and boop, it comes up and then it gives them all the mix ratios.
Nice. So anybody out there who has seen a custom car in a custom color that you like and that you want to get a hold of from any of these designers and car builders, you can paint your cars those colors too, which is pretty awesome.
And then also if they're having trouble, there's support at basfrefinish.com. That can also help them too. And if they're
that's even for hobbyists and
and then we can help you go where to go and what color it is too.
Nice. And just a shameless plug, the montage color is tenacious teal. You can get that at BASF, just saying. And if you do paint a vehicle tenacious teal, you have to send me pictures of it, because I've had a couple already. I've had a couple people send pictures of it. It's the coolest thing. Like, oh look, that's my color. All right, so we are coming up on our hour. Is there anything else that you wanted to talk about as far as your work, your career, BASF? I don't want to cut you
You know,
short.
no matter what you do, just have fun. It is my motto. Have fun. Work hard. Play hard. Do what you love. Even if it's against the grain, do what you love. You know, you're only as successful as you make yourself.
I like that. So your advice to the younger you out there, that's your advice?
Do what you love. Follow your dreams, not mom's dreams, not dad's dreams, not your aunt's dreams, not your sister's dreams. Do what you love, even if it's against the grain.
I love it. Are people in your family supportive of what you do?
Oh, very much so. My dad is, often tells me, so I'll find a way to download this and send this to me, because he's not on social media because, someone's going to get his information.
Right, absolutely, of course.
But I'll send him things that I do for him to watch, and, he's proud, my mom's proud. I hear my mom talk to everybody about what I do. My mom knows a good portion of the girls in the industry. She's going to meet Bogi too. And then, my sisters are, we're always sharing stories of what we do. I do have a couple of nurses. I couldn't do their job to save my life. Never in a million years.
You save lives too, though. She's my constant cheerleader. I promise you that between now and SEMA, there will be at least 5 phone calls where I'm like, Tina, I don't think we're going to make it.
You got it.
I don't know what's going to happen.
You got it.
I can't do this. I don't know what I'm doing. And she's going to talk me off of the ledge and cheer me on. And I'm going to go back inside and I'm going to kick some butt. But she's the one cheering me on. So everybody needs a Tina in their lives.
And always have fun. And know that feeling you're going to get when you reach that finish line. Because that's also going to keep pushing you forward.
I love it. So a little different today. We weren't talking to a tradeswoman per se, but somebody who has established herself in the automotive industry and is hugely influential and is kind of the woman behind the curtain in a lot of ways, but now out in public speaking as well. But really the cheerleader behind a lot of the great builders out there, and just helping keep us going and keeping this hobby alive, this passion alive. What we do as restoration technicians, it's, you know, we need the cheerleaders, we need the supporters, we need the allies. We don't do this in a vacuum. We have other people helping us, and so it's not just about the tradeswomen. It's about the other women in the industry who are also supporting us and a part of what we do. So a little bit different, but I think hugely valuable as well.
To me, it's just as important, not only attracting women to the trade, but attracting that next generation to the trade. You know, women are always going to be at the heart of it because, you know, I am an empowering woman, but it's also, you know, it's a shortage all over across the board. So it's attracting that next generation and get that next generation involved.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. All right, we're gonna wrap this up. I'm gonna remind you once more, because I'm gonna beat this into your heads until you go vote and tell all your friends to vote. You have to pick one of these colors that's gonna go on this beautiful car back here. I can't do this. This is way too much coordination.
Yeah, now you see why I kept messing them up.
All right, so one of these colors on this car back here, you get to pick which one. You gotta go and vote. You have until August 3rd, so not a heck of a lot of time left. So go get on your computer, girlganggarage.com. You get to pick which color you want, and then come to SEMA. Make sure you're there for the unveil. And what else do we have to say? I want to thank you guys for tuning in and hanging out with us. As always, this will live in my IGTV tab forevermore. So you can watch it again if you'd like. If you missed part of it and want to go back and listen to it, all of the past episodes live there as well. So if you're needing inspiration one day, if you're feeling down in the dumps and in need of some mentors, tune in, check out some of the IGTV videos of Trades Lady Happy Hours and meet some of the incredible, over 100 women now who have been guests on Trades Lady Happy Hours, so make sure you check them out. Of course, make sure you come back next week to meet another incredible tradeswoman. And again, a big thank you to Drive Time for helping, you know, make this series continue to go on. We're really appreciative for their support of women in the trades. I have to thank you. I have to thank BASF as a guest. Personally, I'm so grateful that you agreed to be a guest on Trades Lady Happy Hour. And on behalf of BASF, I need to thank you for being such a constant supporter and believing in us, not just myself and Girl Gang Garage and all the women who are here involved, but believing in all of us builders and being the backbone behind us. When we are feeling like we are lacking backbone, you are there to be it for us. So thank you for that.
Thank you, and thank you for inviting me. I'm truly honored to be considered a part of the trades.
You are. You're part of us. She's one of us. And thank you guys, of course, for coming and joining us and hanging out with us for an hour. And with that, we are going to say good night. Be good to yourselves. Be good to one another. And we'll see you soon.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.